Hi guys, sorry medyo late tayo nag-catch up dito. Sige lang guys, tara ko po ito. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng ating mga followers for being there through thick and thin. Alam ko medyo late tayo nag-start ngayon. Katulad po ng sinabi natin, I was looking forward to catching up with the other top podcasters on Spotify. And actually, because of a couple of important meetings, and also because I was hoping actually to also take some family members to bus station kanina. Bumalik tayo ng sandali dito sa Manila before bumalik tayo ulit dyan sa Baguio, so that God willing inshallah, by early next week we can put my great Lola to her final resting place, and para she can join si Lolo at saka yung mga ibang titos ko who are also buried there. Thank you so much again. I'll keep on saying this and I'll never get tired. Thank you so much again for your constant prayers and good wishes. Um, of course, medyo masakit na balikan yung mga ibang mga larawan kung saan nag-post ako ng pictures with Lola. She's still responding to me, still getting her thumbs up, still going like that. Medyo masakit balikan yan, but I can still see naman the constant outpouring of solidarity, commiseration, and love. Um, Obviously, Lola had she had 87 years on this beautiful earth, and her life was full of extremely diverse experiences, a kind of a tortuous life, but at the same time very fulfilling, very happy, joyful, and energetic life. And as I said, I look forward to editing some of the videos I did with her, uh, asking her about Second World War, asking her about her experience of how she saved her family by singing the Japanese Imperial anthem. She just picked it up as a 3 4 year old kid. 1937 siya pinanak. So kung calculate mo, Pearl Harbor 1941 or something. So she was barely 4 years old, no? When her region in the Philippines, in Ilocos, was colonized dahil Chinoy, yung lola ko may Chinese background siya. Particularly na target sila ng mga Hapon dahil there was siguro suspicion na hook sila among other things. So yes, I have a Chinoy background, and as you can see in Lola's features very prominent yung pagka-Chinese niya, and from what I understand, my dad told me that when he met yung mga uncles ni Lola among others in Vegan, in Ilocos region, they had very strong Chinese influence, obviously. So baka hindi obvious or anything like that, but I also have a very proud Chinese roots thanks to Lola. Although I don't know about Lola if she was I don't think she was ever very open about her Chinese roots or anything like that. But speaking of this, so kanina, I had to drop by very quickly, but I didn't want to stay too long because it would be inappropriate. I have a meeting, some couple of important meetings, but I had to also drop by kanina sa Spotify, and I must tell you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much sa lahat ng suporta niya. I told you guys, we have plans. We're not just here to fool around or waste your time. So kanina we made it. I was able to attend with friends and folks, the leading podcasters in the country. Of course, yung mga kasama natin si Cool Pals, si Kylie, meron na rin siyang fantastic her own amazing podcast. All sorts of great people, folks from Generation Z. There are a lot of fellow millennials, may mga a bit older generations. That was extremely, heartwarming meeting with the top podcasters in the country. So, thanks to your support, guys, nagawa natin itong deep dive natin, no? Deep dive natin among the leading podcasts in the country, right? So I think kanina was the top 10 or top 20 podcasters, or top 30 or something like that. It was a pretty small, cozy crowd of the leading podcasters in the country, and of course, I feel privileged to be. I think I was the only one there who actually does politics, right? Political analysis, not just journalism, but political analysis, geopolitical analysis, serious stuff, theoretical analysis. So, sobrang proud ako na dahil sa inyong suporta, nagawa natin yan. I'll bring this back to Lola because, one of the things that I have two Lolas. Lola Mariam, God bless her soul, who passed away back in 2019. And that was also dramatic because I was in Istanbul back then and all of that. And then Lola Elisa naman. Both my lolas, I won't say naman na spoiled ako ng mga lolas ko. I won't claim na ako yung favorite or anything like that because, I don't want to create, I'm going to be very diplomatic, but they were very sweet to me, extremely sweet to me. I mean, of course, I'm the only Haydarian on my dad's side, so probably that put me in a slightly favored spot. I won't say I'm the favorite, obviously. And then with Lola, of course, Lola Elisa also had a very, very close relationship. From each of my Lolas, not to mention my Lolos, I got a lot. I got from my dad's side, from the Hidarian side, from Rashidi's side, from my Lola, Mariam's side. I got, anything that is extremely serious. You can see that once. I mean, of course, dito sa vlog natin, I try to be kalog and all of that. But the part of me that you see as soulful and serious as possible, and at the same time extremely grateful to the Lord, and very spiritually reverent, no, of blessings of my life. I got it from my Haydarian side, from my dad's side, and the part of me that is kalog, palaban, medyo, yes, bardagulan, a lot of that absolutely is from my Foronda side. And I'm extremely proud of Foronda side. As you may know, Foronda obviously has a Basque root, and the Basque root of Palaban is always there. So I'm extremely thankful also to that genes, if I can put it that way. Thank you so much again, of course, to my friend Arjan, to all of our great friends who have been still messaging me. At least, actually, kanina, kakarating ko lang from Baguio very quick. Ayan, you can see in my eye bags, I'm completely exhausted. Kanina pagdating ko pa lang, may mga kaibigan na nagpapadala ng flowers, ganun. Thank you again dun sa mga nagpadala ng flowers, even though sa Baguio, actually, yung wake, and I have to go back again soon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, I know na pwede natin sabihin. I mean, di ba, syempre, grandparents ka na, but honestly, I've been very close to my grandparents, especially my grandmoms. And to be honest, I've still not come fully to terms with with my grandma Mariam, and then also with Lola Elisa. I'm still in shock. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to just go through the motion here and do my work and do everything like that. But honestly, um, every time I go back to my pictures with Lola and all of those emotions are coming back. Having said that, I'm also extremely grateful because, as I said, people are wondering, Richard, where do you get this energy? Where do you get this kapalmoks, if I can even put it that way, or bakit Richard hindi ka intimidated? You know, like I've met presidents, prime ministers, mga ganun. I never get intimidated. I feel very at home, relaxed. You can see that in my interviews with prime minister, foreign ministers, etc. I'm very relaxed, and I've been like that for a very long time. And I got that really from my Lola. I remember once we were in Malacanang for the awarding ceremony, and si Lola would just come in and go to Digong and said, "Hey, picture tayo." And then si Digong Digong to. And he was like, sige po ma'am. Gawa ng si Digong kay Lola. Tapos next thing na, wala pala siyang camera. Tapos sinisigawan niya yung tito, tito, nasan yung camera? And then suddenly yung PSG, sabi niya, ma'am, sorry. Ganun. And then nag-sorry na si Digong kay Lola na, sorry, I have to go ahead kasi may ganitong meeting. So, that's the kind of person Lola is. Wala siyang pake ikaw si Duterte, wala siyang pake kung ikaw President Ramos, whatever. And anyone who has seen me around people, of power and position and influence, you see me, I'm never intimidated, practically by anyone. Now that doesn't matter. I don't respect. I obviously respect people, especially people who bring a lot to the table, among other things. But all I can say, guys, is I mean, there's a lot I can say, but all I can say is I'm extremely privileged. I feel very rich. So when people say, "Richard, are you rich?" Yes, I'm rich for having a family who loves me, and and I'm very rich to have had this experience of spending decades with my grandmothers. Unfortunately, with my grandfathers, I didn't manage to spend as much time from them with them, and I remember very well. I was extremely traumatized when I got one day the news na my grandfather passed away. Uh, you know, I still remember that day. I was crying for days and days because I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty because I was a bit spoiled bratty, and I was a bit my grandfather, he on my father's side, Hidarian, no, he had a beautiful garden and all of that. And ako mahilig ako mag-football and all of that, right? So there were many times na makulit ako, I throw, football and ruin the flowers or throw something there. So siguro nainis yung lolo ko sa akin, but he was extremely kind and a person of utmost integrity. This is a person with tremendous amount of power. At some point in terms of responsibility, he was in charge of, hectares and hectares of thick forests. In the Caspian Sea region and all of that, and not even kahit isang sentabo ng wala. And in fact, my grandfather, he built his house with his own hands, and he night schooled himself to catch up in terms of his education and self improvement. So that's the kind of Hidarian blood that runs to my veins. And at the same time, there's my Lolo side, Lolo Rodrigo, from my mom's side, a man of extreme style. He lived in Florida, Jacksonville. So my Florida connection din ako in that sense because of my Lolo and mga other things. But the thing is, it was with Lola Elisa that I really spent the most amount of time. So whatever feistiness you see in me, whatever like a kind of I won't say relentless, mga ganun. I won't try to be pretentious, but yung talagang yung kapalmoks ko na wala akong, it's almost impossible to intimidate me. I got it from my Lola. So I'm very, very thankful for that. So whenever I have a moment of, I don't know if you can put the word success, I always remember the traits I inherited, the integrity and the commitment and the discipline, self-discipline I got from my Hidarian side, and also this energy and this self-confidence, not unhealthy, not arrogance, but self-confidence and self-belief that I got also from my Lola side. Kaya sabi ko, mahirap ako intimidate. I've been bashed how many times by Duterte supporters. I got death threats. I got attacked by my fellow Ilocanos, yung mga loyalists dyan. I got attacked over the past 2 weeks by all our friends, mga kakamping na hindi natuwa dun sa sinabi ko about the meeting with Sara Duterte, and may maraming Gen Z din galit sa akin dahil sa yung sinabi ko na clone or whatever. Anyway, or praise ko for EJ Obiena that was seen as a shit. Like, it's okay, but I get a bit inis here and there, and then after a while, I was like, I don't care. Like, move on, we go forward. And I'm telling you what, it's not even fighting spirit. It's this kind of a, dauntless, right? Energy that runs through my veins, and I'm very, very grateful for Lola. So as I said, as long as I'm alive, right, as long as I have memory, I'm capable of, remembering things and also passing down memory. Lola's memory, my grandparents' memory, and the Hidarin blood all will run through my veins. Yeah, yeah, yes. Actually, there's a village, Foronda, village in Basque, by the way. But anyway, um, so kanina, being there in Spotify Philippines, actually Spotify per se, thanks to our good friends in Spotify, and our friends in charge of Spotify Philippines, based in Singapore, si Philip among others, for being extremely, extremely kind and generous, and for this invitation to join them. As I said, I don't see it just as an achievement. I see it as a vindication na kahit anong naysayers na meron tayo, kahit anong mga duda na meron tayo, kahit anong mga moments of self-doubt na meron tayo, tuloy-tuloy lang tayo nun. And again, I'm extremely thankful for everyone who's been supporting me, family, loved ones, especially, Lola, Lisa, who always made me really, uh, this sense of self-reassurance that is hard to shake, right? Okay. Um, Self-assuredness, I would rather say. Self-assuredness that is hard to shake. Now, another part of me, which is sobrang makulit, is this continuous belief that we can do better as Filipinos. And I'm telling these guys not as someone who is naive or blind to the realities of our country. Now, alam ko maraming sabi, Richard, alam mo, ikaw, konyo ka, tignan mo yung itsura mo, tignan mo yung pagtatagalog mo, tignan mo yung ganyan. Guys, you have no idea, okay? You have no idea. I've lived with my Lola. Oh, by the way, one of the greatest things, I'm also very thankful for Lola, at least, is I live with Lola for a very long time. I lived in the provinces. Anyone who knows where my Lola lives, they know how hard it is to go upstairs. I had to, climb a mountain every day on the way to school and all of that. So, believe me, um, you know, believe me, guys, I didn't grow up like, in gated communities or anything like that. Now, having said that, of course, I cannot also deny that, I've had privileges and supportive family and my mom and dad who have done everything they could to give me a dignified and at sometimes, yes, a bit of more luxury and especially good education. So I'm extremely thankful. And speaking of education, I'm a product of the University of the Philippines. I teach in the University of the Philippines. I'm a faculty in UP. I am a product of the University of the Philippines, undergraduate, graduate school, among other things. So I always felt a commitment to this country, and I always felt that it is my responsibility in one way or another to, despite all my balahura, maldita, Karen side, to restore a sense of self-confidence among our fellow Filipinos. I feel I've been quite successful when based on my discussions and meetings with global Filipinos, whether it's folks I've met in Stanford, whether it's folks I've met in Harvard, whether it's folks I've met in, top institutions and universities all around the world, everywhere in the world, kung saan na-meet natin yung mga galing na Pilipino, mga other things, they come to me and say, Richard, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you, Richard, for elevating the Philippines, putting us on the map, and also thank you, Richard, for reminding the world what the Filipino nation is capable of producing. Now, I'm not saying I'm the greatest product. Obviously, I'm not. There's so many great people. I mean, mga kabatch ko ay sila Patricia. Patricia Evangelista was slightly, senior, but, she's my org mate. We're all from UP Debate Society. I mean, Leloy, of course, is a bit older than me, but same, more or less in same courts. This is the caliber of peers I've had. There's so many great names out there, right? So from Patricia Evangelista to Leloy Claudio to Nicole Corato, so many smart, great people, high achievers. Not to mention many doctors, lawyers, architects, corporate type of people who are spread all around the world, movers and shakers. Of course, kasama din natin ang mga other things. Si Adrian Rabe, Dr. Rabe, who's now based in UK. I think he was the youngest ever Filipino doctor, 21 years old pa lang, tapos na siya sa MD niya. So, I'm telling you guys, you look at that, you look at that brains of the nation. In my own little way, I've been surrounded by the brains of the nation, the smartest of the smart. Filipinos, and I'm extremely proud. And these are people are doing very well. So I feel as part of that community. I never claim to be the best or anything, but I feel I belong. I feel I belong. So, um, but I also feel that meron tayong obligasyon sa ating bansa. And speaking of that obligation, one of them is paano natin ma-inspire itong bayan natin para kahit papano, kaunti lang, kahit unti-unti pa lang, from 2 or 0, punta tayong 6 or 7. Sige, hindi pa tayo 10, alright? Hindi pa tayo, first world level. Totoo yan. Pero sa tingin ko, kayang-kaya ng Pilipinas na umangat from a very low level to somewhere in the middle na what you get in places like Malaysia, for instance, and increasingly what you get in places like Thailand, for instance, or even something you'll get somewhere in like Turkey, for instance, no, or Chile, right? I think Chile, Malaysia, Turkey, Thailand, yung mga ganun level of development, kayang-kaya natin yan. Kayang-kaya natin yan. Now, these are not countries without problems. Malaysia has a lot of problems of its own. Turkey has horrible inflation of its own. Chile has its own political polarization. I can talk about it, obviously. But in terms of average living standards, in terms of human development index, in terms of per capita income, but HDI is more important. I think kayang-kaya natin makamit yung level na yan. Not to mention Thailand. 10, 15 years ago, ang Thailand, ang pangit ng Bangkok, katulad ng Pilipinas, pagdating sa yung mga rivers, ganyan. Philippines can move in that direction. We can, yung esplanade na ginawa natin sa Manila Bay, sa Manila, kaya natin i-extend yan across the country. So I think, if we do some of the basic things, kahit ganito yung presidente natin, okay, ganito yung mga politiko natin, kayang-kaya natin makamit yung level of development na meron ng mga katulad ng Chile, Turkey, Malaysia, or at least yung Thailand, no? Ngayon, and that's why speaking of Thailand, ako parati ko pinag-usapan yung issue ng industrial policy, industrialization, manufacturing, kasi nakikita ko yan. At, of course, Hungary, yeah, Hungary, another interesting. Hello to our Magyar friends, yeah. Now, so kayang-kaya natin yan. So it's not about us going from 2 to 10. Kaya natin from 2 to 6. I always say that. And actually, 6 is not bad. When you're 2 and then nag-6 ka, ang laki ng agwat. Ang laki ng agwat. Medyo maayos yung public infrastructure mo, extreme poverty is down to single digits, medyo middle class ng society. Hindi mayaman. Hindi Norway, hindi New Zealand, hindi ganon. Pero at least middle income society. Kayang-kaya natin yan. Kayang-kaya natin yan at least in the next 15 years, if not the next 10 years. We just need to do some basics. At yun actually ang basihan ng mga ginagawa natin, mga interventions natin, mga plataforma natin. Because as you notice, here and there, I criticize this side, that side, I get bashed, whatever, okay. Pero yung punot dulo ng ginagawa po natin dito ay magkakaroon tayo ng critical thinking. Magkakaroon tayo ng familiarity sa mga basic issues, sa mga pangunahin na pangangailangan ng ating bayan, sa mga polisiya na kailangan natin para ingat natin ang konti ng bayan. And I'll tell you what, you have no idea sino mga nakikinig sa atin. Alright, I don't have to name names, but many of the who's and who's of this country, many of the most influential people in politics, business, mga they'll just come to me and say, Richard, gusto ko yung episode mo yung ganyan. Now, hindi ko sinasabi na dahil magaling ako or sikat ako. No. It just shows that actually, marami tayong, we have many important ears, close to the pulse of what we're discussing here. There are many, but more importantly, marami sa ating mga kababayan across different age groups and demographics are listening to us. I'm not saying na malaki tayo, but we are in hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So hindi tayo maliit na community. And just the other day walking Baguio, going to the bus station and all, biglang I think my voice is quite probably distinct to some people. So actually naglalakad ako, biglang may lumapit, sir, pwede tayo mag-picture mga bata. And then yung pala, napanood tayo sa Cool Pals or nakikinig sa atin. Next thing you know, so people from Gen Z to Gen X to, the seniors, the John I was just standing there taking someone's picture. Si Kuya Willie, next thing I know, bigla may mga dawan, oy, ganda ng usapan yun, yung gano'n na. And bumibili ka sa camera, yung may-ari na, bigla, oy, ang ganda ng discussion na. And then they talk to me as if parang kaibigan na kami, di ba? Naalala ko, nag-Green Hills ako nung isang araw. uh, to fix some to buy actually some electronics, whatever. Next thing you know, biglang yung nakaupo dyan, Prof. Darian, dito ka. Anong sinasabi nito? Gumanon pa siya sa akin. I was like pleasantly surprised. Ay, gano'n ba? Tapos pinapanood niya si Dan Hernandez pa, Fernandez, sorry, at saka si Cassie Ong, yung mga si Migs Nograles, gano'n. So, guys, I think we're onto something. I think we're onto something. I think we're onto something. And I'll tell you what, hindi mangyayari yan kung hindi dahil sa inyo. I mean, yung iba sa atin sumali, di ba? Nag-start tayo ng, effectively, we started this whole vlogging just before Leni Robredo announced or run for the presidency, right? I mean, like just few days before, right? So we started this when the certificate of candidacy was being filed in 2021 for 2022 elections. 3 years later, meron na tayong komunidad. And I can tell you, I can really use the word community. Hindi ko alam kay Ben Tulfo, community service. We're into community service because we're not into public service. Yan. Hindi ko alam yung kay Ben Tulfo na community service, 20 years in journalism. Yan. Tayo 3 years in vlogging. Yeah. No, feeling ko talaga, hindi naman feeling lang. I can feel it. Pag na-meet natin mga kametas natin, mga ka-deep divers natin, ka-RRMs natin, they feel familiar. They feel they're like just talking to their friend or something. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Exactly what we're looking for. So yes, slow and steady. I mean, not so slow in fairness naman, but sometimes din hindi ganun ka-steady kasi nagbabardagulan and all. But I think we're getting there. And as I said, I'm extremely proud to be part of that, Spotify community of the top podcasters. And at the same time, I'm extremely glad that there are also different great podcasters, mga kabilang channels, di ba? The Christian, Kristan, ang dami nila, di ba? Who are doing great job and pushing the envelope in the right direction. Are of course our Crush ng Bayan, Edu Manzanas, of course. He doesn't have his own podcast, but he's practically on all of our podcasts, right? My good friend, comrade, Ronald, I think medyo pagod siya ngayon. So we'll try to have our RRM tomorrow or on Saturday. So don't worry about that. So siguro medyo magpahinga muna si Sir Ronald, napagod na rin siguro. Siguro I'll have to also advise him to slow it down, and I have to actually slow down also my work, get some rest. And then tuloy na lang tomorrow. Kasi magbiyahe ulit sa weekend. Now, going back to this, we are moving in the right direction. And one of the biggest reasons for us to be confident about that, guys, is, kung titignan mo, guys, sabi ni Angel Cat, yeah, just go to Spotify, put Richard Dar, lalabas po yan, tip type. Speaking of hopeful race, no? Just look at some of the people who are running for the highest offices and look at who are these kinds of people, diba? One of them that I extremely feel good about and encouraged about is Attorney Heidi Mendoza, the former commissioner of the Commission on Audit, no? Who has been really at the forefront of ensuring na meron tayong transparency, may panagutan, may kalinawan dun sa paggastos ng pera ng kaban ng bayan, essentially. At if I'm not mistaken, it was also when she was in charge of COA that Leni's tremendous transparency and accountability was highlighted repeatedly, among other things. So ito yung mga matitinong malinis na tao at matapang at makabayan na tao na sa loob ng gobyerno, at ngayon hangat nila na tumakbo sa elected offices. So please pay attention to the case of Heidi Mendoza. Let's take a listen to her decision. Bakit siya nagdesisyon? Sorry, wala ka akong YouTube Premium, so kung narinig niyo yung commercial, sorry. Shane.
Ako po si Heidi Leose Mendoza. May asawa, ina ng 3. Magandang umaga, magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Heidi Leose Mendoza. May asawa, ina ng 3 anak, taga Tayabas, Quezon. Ako po ay nahirang na commissioner ng Commission on Audit at nahirang din po at napagkatiwalaan bilang Undersecretary General ng United Nations Internal Oversight Services. Marami na pong nagsabing lalabanan ang katiwalian. Marami na rin pong nagsabing minamahal ang bayan. Heto po ako, 27 taon ang kasaysayan ng pakikipaglaban ko sa katiwalian. Kayo po ang saksi. Ilang ulit po akong nalagay sa headline. Hindi lamang po ito pagsasalita. Ito po'y pagtayo. Ito ay pagtindig sa aking pinaniniwalaan at ipinaglalaban. Nung bumalik po ako sa New York noong 2018, nag-isip po ako ng paraan kung paano patuloy na mag-aambag. Naandun pong nag-paint ako, binenta ko yung painting ko, pambili ng laptop para sa mga batang walang laptop. Naandong nagpresinta akong magturo. Subalit, naisip ko po, ang lahat ng ito, ang lahat ng ating pinagkakapaguran para sa kinabukasan ng ating mamamayan, iisa lang po ang tugon. Labanan ng katiwalian. At ako, sa buong buhay ko, hindi lamang lumaban, tumaya at munti ka nang magbuwis ng buhay.
Right. Grabe, risking
Wala na po
job.
sigurong masabi. Wala po akong comms, kaya ako'y baka makapagsalita ng mali. Wala pa rin po akong team. Ang lahat-lahat po.
Oh, baka gusto na mag-volunteer.
Ay ko sa may kapal. Siya na po ang bahala dahil alam ko po, mahirap itong ating laban. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Heidi. May tanong po ba sa media? Yeah, Miss Sandra Aguinaldo from GMA 7, please.
Ma'am Heidi. Ano po yung siguro gusto nyong baguhin sa budget process or yung mga practices na nakikita nyo ngayon sa ating national budget kung kayo po ay papalari no, na maupo sa Kongreso?
Salamat, Sandra. Kung tayo ay papalaring maupo sa Kongreso, sa Senado, ano ho, ang una ko pong gagawin, ito ho ay personal at pinilit ko na hong simulan ng mga nakaraang taon pa. Alamin po at ituro ang tamang proseso sa taong bayan. Kasi ito po'y pera ng bayan. Sa pamamagitan po nito, bigyan din ang mga sensitibong proseso ng budget. Kung saan wala pong impormasyon o walang transparency. Ano ho?
Right.
Kaya ho ng budget ngayon, nakita natin. Yung isinumito po ng Presidente, malayo na po dun sa amount ng naaprobahan at naging GAA. Ano?
Actually, important yun, guys. Yung sinabi ni, matutuwa ng mga ka-DDS natin. Actually, napakamahalaga yung sinabi ni Ma'am Mendoza because one of the, hindi naman critiques, but I think one of the comments na napansin ko is, bakit daw kami, like ako, Christian, whatever, Christian, focus kami dun sa mga kababalagan ng ginagawa ng mga Duterte sa mga other things, bakit hindi namin binibigyan ng attention yung ginagawa ng ibang department. Sabi ko naman, binibigyan naman natin, kaya ang dami natin mga episodes ukol dun sa issue ng PhilHealth funds, no? Among other things. Pero yun nga kung sana kung may research team ako or something, isa-isain ko lahat mga yun But, kaya nga you need persons like this yung mga eksperto sa issue ng fiscal accountability and transparency. You need people like that. Inside the government, in the Senate, wherever necessary. Kasi sila, eksperto talaga sila. Hindi ako expert in budget issues. I am not. Alright? I know a bunch of people who are experts in this and we'll try to have them back again, si Budget Babe, among other things. But wala tayong ganyan na budget expert, alright, sa loob ng ating elected offices. And I think what's very important, I'll discuss this later on more, is she is talking about actually ano yung trabaho ng senador. Hindi magbigay ng libreng jacket, but actually to be a fiscalizer. So balikan natin yan.
Pero wala ho tayong marinig sa mamamayan. Bakit po? Malalaman lang po nila ang mga impormasyong ito kung maglaban-laban sila sa Kongreso o sa Senado. Kaya ho ako'y nangangahas, kumakatok sa inyo para ho maituloy ko po yung pagsasalita, pagtuturo ng budget information, nagiging transparent at nagbibigay ng lakas loob sa mamamayan. Ito po ang pagkakataong tumaya tayo. Pera ng bayan yan. Labanan natin ang katiwalian, bigyan natin ng tuldok ang pork barrel funds. Ang dami nilang nagsasabing wala ng pork barrel.
Yun.
Pero ang daming ayuda at yan po ang
Alam
ginagamit
na
sa
this.
eleksyon. Tumakbo ako dito aking tapat na hangarin. Kung maiaya ko na makita niyo ang katapatan ng loob ko, sana sama-sama tayong labanan ang katiwalian at pork barrel. Maayos na gamitin ang budget at malaman ng mamamayan kung paano ginagastos ang pera ng bayan.
Yun.
Okay po, thank you. Dwight from
Yan,
Rappler.
fiscalizer, literally.
Right from Dwight De Leon from Rappler. Ma'am, is this a last-minute decision? When did you decide? And is there any specific news development ng pangyayari dito sa Pilipinas that triggered you to run for public office?
Ito pong desisyon na ito, nabuo ko linggo ng umaga. Pero gusto ko pong sabihin, at ito po'y tapat kong sinasabi, mula po nung ako'y tumulong sa kampanya noong 2021 po ba, inihanda ko po yung sarili ko. Paano ako makakambag sa tunay na reforma, tunay na reform. At yun nga ho, nakita ko, na-surprise po ako, lumabas ang mga tao at sumali sa kampanya. Nung hinahanda ko po ang sarili ko, ang akin pong inisip, paano natin babariyahin ang mensahe para makatawid tayo sa mga dapat makaintindi. Ang latest hearing po sa Quadcom, tinanong ko po yung sarili ko, ano na ito? Hindi ko yata masikmura yung kawalan ng pag-asa. Pag ang titingnan ko ay ang mga kasalukuyang naglalakas loob, ay hindi pala naglalakas, talagang malakas ang loob na kumandidato. So sa sarili ko po, siguro kailangan nating lagyan ng tuldok. Yung mga sinasabing sila-sila na naman, o kaya yung sinasabing wala bang iba, o kaya ba yung sinasabing pera-pera lang yan, o yung sinasabing hindi ka mananalo. Heto po ako, matapang akong humaharap sa inyo. Ang mga pangyayaring naganap sa Kongreso at Senado, ang kawalan ng pag-asang paribang naghahari sa lahat ng mamamayang Pilipino, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga mamayang nangangarap ng pagbabago at katapatan sa paglilingkod bayan. Yun po ang nagtulak sa desisyon ko.
Ma'am, if elected, how would you envision to put an end to the pork barrel, especially when the Congress is composed of people who might be in their best interests not to put an end to the pork barrel?
Okay, right. Ang tingin ko dyan, hindi naman yan mangyayari overnight. Magsisinungaling ako pag sinabi ko pagpasok ko tapos na yan. Ito po ay simula ng marami pang hakbangin. Kung mabigyan po natin ng lakas ang mga mamamayan, kung maaari po ninyong balikan, tayo po kasama ang komisyon ng COA ang nagsimula ng Citizens Participatory Audit. Ano po? Kung mapapalakas po natin ang kakayanan, kaalaban ng mamamayan, at sana po sa pagtakbo kong ito na parang suntok sa buwan, maghari ang inspirasyon at lakas ng loob ng mamamayan. Kung mamamayan ay kasama natin upang sabihin, wakasan ng pork barrel. Naalala niyo po noon yung pong nagkaroon ng pork barrel march, di po ba?
Right,
Nung panahon
2012,
ni
yeah.
President,
Pinoy.
ano po? Siguro ho hindi malayo yun. Bagamat sinasabi ko pong mahaba pang hakbangin. At ngayong umaga, ang hakbangin yon ay sinisimulan ko. Iniimbita ko kayong samahan ako sa mga adhikain at sa mga dapat nating gawin upang tunay nating maalagaan ang pera ng bayan. Ang biro ko nga po, huwag niyo akong tingnan, huwag niyo akong kilalanin on my person, personal kilalanin niyo ako sa annual audit reports, sa special audit reports, sa fraud audit reports na naisulat ko. Hindi lang sila naisulat. Sila ay nakarating ng sandigan bayan. Hindi lang sila nakarating.
Right.
Maaaring ang bayan na dismiss, pero gusto ko lang
May
itong
impact.
ipaalala at baka hindi alam ng ilan. Matagpumpay naman din po tayong nakarecover yung AFP funds, doon sa controllership, na akin pong pinanindigan. Pangalawa, kung inyo rin pong mamarapatin, pagdating po natin sa United Nations, ako po'y nakatulong sa tinatawag na the first case against the President of the General Assembly. Hindi po ako kagaligan. Isa lang po ang baon ko. Tapang at matilim pananampalataya sa Diyos at sa kapwa Pilipino dahil naniniwala po akong hindi lahat ay takot. Hindi lahat ay hindi nagsasalita. Hindi lahat ay nabibigo. Ngayon, ang araw na yon, upang gisingin ko kayo.
One last quick question, Nico Pagsik, Teleradyo.
Good morning po, ma'am. Ma'am, may I ask po kung bakit Senate po agad doon, no? Yung nag-decide kayo kung bakit Senate agad. Kasi pwede ka naman pong mag-run for a lower office po eh. Pero bakit Senate po na kakaunti lang, 12 lang po yung ano,
Yung tanong na yan, lower office.
For the elections 2025 po.
Unang-una po, nag-isip din po akong mag-party list. Pero nakita ko po, yung mga taong gusto kong suportahan na andun na po sa party list.
Yun.
Kaya sumubok ko ako sa Senado dahil naniniwala po ako, ang aking karanasan, ang aking kakayahan, ang aking talambuhay, ang lahat ng ginawa kong pagtataya ay tumutukoy, konektado sa gawain sa Senado.
Okay. You have a second? You have 24 seconds, Mom. Sige, okay. 24 seconds is up. Microphone, please.
Ma'am, good morning.
Sa Senado, ang isang nakilala na anti-pork barrel, Senator Joker Arroyo, and then Senator Ping, hindi tumatanggap din ng pork barrel. Ito rin po ba yung tutuntungan po ninyo na prinsipyo
Si GMRC.
kung mananalo po kayo sa Senado? At ano pa po
GMRC.
yung ibang paglilinis na plano yung gawin sa dalawang kapulungan ng Kongreso sa sistema?
Pinag-aaralan ko po yan. May consequences po kasi yan eh. Pwede ko pong sabihin hindi ako tatanggap at totoo po yun. Pero kailangan po nating isipin. Ang pork barrel po ay isang tool, isang pamamaraan ng gobyerno upang maigawa niya yung tinatawag nating redistributive function of ano-ano ho. Ang ibig sabihin po nito, at ito rin po yung iniisip ko, can you imagine po kung lahat ng pork barrel ay tunay nating magagamit sa pagpapaaral ng mga estudyante? Can you imagine kung lahat ng pork barrel ay magagamit po para sa hospitalization? Subalit, hindi ko po sinasabing babahagi ako. Ang sinasabi ko lang po, pag-aaralan ko po, ano ang tema ng kasalukuyang pangyayari? May pangangailangan ba upang makamit ang tamang paggastos ng bayan? Pero kung dumating tayo dun sa punto na masabi nating hindi tamang nagagamit ang pork barrel, at yun nga ho, ang sabi ko, labanan natin ang katawilaan, then open din po ako sa hindi pagtanggap ng pork barrel funds.
Right.
Salamat po ng marami. Magandang umaga. Pasensya na po kayo, kabang-kaba po ako, kaya napakalakas po ng aking salita.
Galing. Yan. Hindi ko alam dun sa mga ka-DDS natin na biglang galit sa corruption ngayon, pero walang sinasabi sa Farmali, yung mga ka-DDS natin na tuwan-tuwa sa due process, pero walang sinasabi nung time na dami mga EJK nangyari, yung ating mga ka-DDS na sobrang galing magsalita, mga kabayan daw sila, mga ganyan-ganyan, pero halos walang sinabi sa ginawa ng China sa West Philippine Sea, yan, yung mga ganon, mga ganern, right? So yung mga ganon. Tapos yung iba naman, nung election, nung tumakbong presidente, sinasabi na may bahid ng corruption si Marcos, medyo may duda, meron na kaya dapat hindi binoboto si BBM, kaya dapat silang bobotohin. Tapos ngayon biglang tatakbo sa ilalim ni BBM, biglang iba ng inip ng hangin. Talo pa kami mga Ilocanos. Ayon sa kanya, guys, expert na to sa economic development issues obviously dahil daming napanalong mga boxing champion. Sabi ni number 1 daw tayo nung panahon ni Marcos Sr. Number 1 sa corruption. Actually hindi, number 2 tayo sa corruption dahil mas maras pa yung ginawa ni Suharto sa Indonesia. But anyways, yun nga eh. Tapos yung isa naman na galit na daw sa corruption pero gusto niya maging para tulungan daw yung mga ganyan. Tapos kailangan niya maging senador kasi tulungan niya mga artista, gana as if kulang tayo na artista sa Senado natin. Kailangan daw natin ng international treaties para tulungan yung ating film industry. Hindi naman siguro kailangan lang ng state subsidy, medyo magagandang script para medyo lang naman kailangan. So, I'm just saying, guys, no, and not to mention, of course, I'm not trying to be unfair naman na purong tinitignan lang natin ay Senate race dahil mahalaga din yung ibang opisina at tama naman yung sinabi ni Ma'am Mendoza na in fairness naman, hindi naman tayo nagkakulang sa magagaling na tumatakbo sa ilalim ng party list. At isa sa mga pinakamagaling dyan. So if Ma'am Mendoza is the ultimate fiscalizer in the literal sense of the word na tinitignan niya kung ginagastos ng tama yung kaban ng bayan at paano natin gastusin ng tama yung kaban ng bayan para matulungan natin yung ating mga kababayan. Ito naman, ito talaga abogado ng bayan. Ito yung tao na lumalaban para sa ating karapatan pang tao. Ito yung tao na kahit pinagtawanan siya ni Digong dati dun sa ngayong ngiti or ngipin or whatever, tuloy-tuloy lang siya, hindi siya intimidated. At of course, number one dahilan na gustong-gusto ko siya is naka-Tiffany yata. Yan, naka-Tiffany yata. Kulay ko yan
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Ganda ng boses
Nasaksihan ng buong bayan ang nagawa at ginagawa ni Akbayang Senator Risa Ontiveros
Yun.
para sa bayan. Kung hindi dahil sa kanya, malamang ay hindi naiban ang Pogo at malamang ay hindi nakulong si Apollo Kibuloy. Kasama po si Congressman Percy Sendanya at si Dada Kiram Ismula. Nais po namin gawin sa Kongreso
Ginagawa ni
ang
Risa.
ginagawa ni Sen. Risa
Galing.
sa Senado.
Galing nung position.
Imbis na yung interest ng sarili nilang pamilya ang isusulong ng mga uupo sa Kongreso, kailangan ng bayan ng mga mambabatas na makikipaglaban para sa interes at kapakanan ng ordinaryong Pilipino. Solid po, napaka-solid ang track record ng Akbayan Party List.
Yun.
Ang Akbayan ay naniniwala na ang power ng bayan ay nasa puwersa ng sambayanang Pilipino. Kaya sama-sama po tayong mag-akbayan para sa bayan. Thank you.
Okay, question? Sino to? Michael Rogas, Radyo Pilipinas. Please. Thank you.
Sir, magandang umaga po. Michael Rogas po from Radyo Pilipinas. Ang pagkakaalam po ng nakararami ay lalaban po kayong senador. Ano po ang nagbabago sa isip po ninyo at ngayon po ay nominee po ng Akbayan Party List?
Bihira po yung dumarating na pagkakataon na maging bahagi ng isang talagang solid at mahabang track record na party list tulad ng Akbayan. At itong pagkakataon ay talagang matagal po namin na pag-isipan at nakita ko na pareho lang naman ang paglilingkod kung ikaw ay nasa House of Representatives o sa Senado. Kaya ako ay talagang happy nakasama ako ng Akbayan at first nominee.
Sir, wala ko bang kinalaman yung hindi ho ninyo pagkakasama sa mga senatorial survey kung bakit nagbago ang isip ninyo at maging nominee po ng Akbayan na lamang?
Alam niyo,
imbis na maging senador.
Well, sa lahat ng mga kandidato naman, tinitingnan po nila yung mga survey results. At maliban sa ang aking paniniwala at prinsipyo ay kapareho sa Akbayan, kaya principal decision po yon, ay tinitingnan din natin yung iba't ibang mga factor. Kasama na rin doon syempre ang mga survey.
Thank you so much po.
O, di ba? Walang bahid na, di ba?
Sherry
Diretso na,
Antones,
straight to the point.
ABS-CBN.
Sure.
Hi sir, magandang umaga po. Percy, good morning. Attorney Chel, pa-explain muna, ano yung reason ba't kayo umalis sa KNP in favor of Akbayan?
Well, unang-una, ako'y nagpapasalamat sa KNP. Talagang they took me as part of their family and I'm very thankful for that. As far as Akbayan is concerned, matagal ko na silang nakikita at nakakasama. Actually, noon pa, kahit nung ako'y human rights lawyer pa lang, nakakasama ko at nakakatrabaho ko ang mga Akbayan members at officers. At kitang-kita ko naman yung meron silang, sabihin natin, napakatagal na ng pagsisilbi at paglilingkod para sa Pilipinas, na nung dumating nga yung pagkakataon, ay sabi ko, I'm very happy to join them.
Sir, ang lower house, kilala natin sa, well, although ang Senate may mga compromise din naman yan, ano? Pero mas strong ang compromise, mga quote-unquote mga kung ano-ano man yung mga deals, no? Hindi negative dun sa House. Kayo ba handa kayong yakapin yung ganong klase na politika at paglilingkod considering na yung sabi nyo nga, prinsipyado yung orientation ninyo at mas maraming discussion sa House yung kailangan talaga usapan, compromise, etc.
Papasa ko kay Kong Percy yung mic.
Maraming salamat po, Atty. Chel.
Ito si Kong Percy kakapasok.
More than 2 decades of experience in the lower house, mula pa panahon ni Eta Rosales, 1998, hanggang panahon ni Risa Ontiveros, hanggang sa ngayon, isa po yung natutunan natin na posible kang makagawa ng mahalagang mga inisyatiba para sa reforma sa loob ng sistemang ito. Nariyan po yung Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program Essential Reforms na ipanalo natin sa isang House of Representatives na puno ng mga landlords. Na ipanalo po natin ang Productive Health Bill at marami pang iba. So Akbayan is ready to
Galing.
engage in Congress and to form a reform bloc. Isang estratehiya na ginagawa natin sa loob ng mahabang panahon.
From Rappler, Dwight.
Hello po, good morning. Yung Akbayan po ay nag-take oath bago yung House break, but you're expected to just really assume the position and do get the job done on kapag nagbalik ang House sa session sa November. Iniintay ngayon sa House yung kung kailan ba magkakaroon ng impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. So inyo po
Yun.
parte sa Akbayan,
Good question.
would you be willing to be the ones to file that impeachment
Interesting.
complaint against the Vice President?
Big question.
Hindi pa po namin nakita yung articles but we are very open
Yun.
to endorsing such a complaint.
Yun.
Thank you
That's
po.
it. That's it. So Akbayan could be one of the vehicles for pushing for impeachment of Sara Duterte based on, of course, evidence and proper scrutiny of the evidence. Kung may abuso talaga nangyari na talaga may mga kababalagan nangyari. Of course, alam naman natin ano yung talagang sagot, pero due process
Are
tayo.
there any more questions? Wala na po. Thank you.
Yun.
Sir,
Thank you so much, guys. So again, that just gives you the idea it gives you an idea about where I come from, no? Pag sinasabi ko na yes, you have a gallery of rogues, yes, may clownery, circus, lahat yan, totoo yan. But it's also true na may mga ganitong tao na tumatakbo na they tick all the boxes when it comes to basic things you expect from a legislator. Napansin nyo, whether si Mendoza, Attorney Mendoza or Attorney Chel Jokno, none of them came out and said, pag ako nanalo, bibigyan ko kayo ng jacket, bibigyan ko kayo ng, I don't know, libreng visa card, libreng electric vehicle, 40% off this, 60% off this. Hindi. Dahil alam nila alam nila talaga yung trabaho eh. They know the job description. And the job description is you're supposed to be a fiscalizer. Andyan ka sa Senado at Kongreso para bantayan yung kaban ng bayan, para bantayan yung mga polisiya ng administration, para bantayan ang implementation ng batas, para gumawa ng mga bagong batas para makatulong sa tao. Hindi ka nandyan para magbigay ng mga libreng stuff. Trabaho po ng DSWD siguro yan. Trabaho yan ng charity. So I think, dun mo makikita yung kalidad ng mga ganitong tao na tumatakbo sila base dun sa job description. At more importantly, base dun sa kanilang track record. Something na hindi mo makikita dun sa mga naging opposition lang dahil hindi nakuha yung position, or nag-opposition lang dahil watak-watak ng unity, or biglang nag-opposition lang dahil hindi sila makapasok dun sa admin at gusto nila manalo dahil I don't know, kung negosyo lang or desperado sila or gusto lang nila maging relevant. So, that's where you see the difference. So, please never say na walang choice. Please, don't say na wala ng pag-asa because andito tong mga ganitong tao na tumatakbo. Pero para palitan yung bansa natin, kailangan din ng suporta ng mga tao. So kung gusto niyo mag-volunteer, and go ahead. On my side, of course, I have to be, I'm a journalist, so I have to be as non-partisan as possible. At the same time, diba? At the same time, hindi natin maitatanggi na ito talaga itong mga tao na to they tick all the boxes when it comes to dun sa anong in-expect natin sa isang legislator. Diba? It's just a fact. Just the track record of these people. Right? And what they've been putting together. Now, to end this conversation, or rather discussion, let me just read itong article ko along these lines. And this article was actually very emotionally written because it was just few hours after I watched Lola passing away. And I had to say final goodbyes to her. And I barely had a sleep. I couldn't sleep for nights kasi sobrang anxious ako with so many things, including worrying about Lola who was in ICU for weeks. And I still couldn't make sense, of what happened. Immediately nagdasal tayo sa simbahan, nandun sa ospital. Until now, hindi ko pa rin na-process yung mga nakita ko kay Lola in her final seconds and moments after na CPR siya and all of that. And after getting an hour or so of sleep, no, because I had to also sundo my other tita to make sure to put things together. Ay, no, ang dami pang ibang drama nangyari na, it's private. I did not go there. But so I after getting an hour or two of sleep, barely, sinulat po natin ito. So I hope you just guys you just can bear with me and listen to me. And I'll try to post this siguro separately also para you can see saan galing yung sinasabi natin. So ito po yung column natin sa Philippine Daily Inquirer this week, Tuesday. And I just finished it before 3 p.m. deadline ko, and just few hours after my Lola passed away. No, so you can imagine the state of mind. But I think there was also some sort of a moral clarity, if not literary fluorescence. So if lousy yung prose or something, forgive me, but I think I tried to be as lucid and sensible and straight to the point as possible while capturing the moment. So ito po yung title ng article natin. Leila, Leni, and a Ray of Hope. Published by Philippine Daily Inquirer. This is my column every Tuesday. About 5 years ago, I found myself in a bright, breezy room with Leila de Lima. It was... Ulitin natin na. Okay, so ito yung article natin. Leila, Leni, and a Ray of Hope. About 5 years ago, I found myself in a bright, breezy room with Leila de Lima. It was way past noon. A beautiful sunny day had greeted all well-wishers who visited her in the detention facility in Camp Crame earlier in the day. In fact, I talked to some of them as they were coming out and tried to look for any sign of reassurance. And I saw a lot of reassurance, spiritual reassurance in their eyes, including isa sa mga religious personalities na nakita ko nung araw na yan. After filling out some paperwork and leaving all my belongings with police officers, I was escorted to the visitors' quarter. The room was clean and all white, no trace of luxury. There was no air conditioning, and yet it felt like one of the brightest and breeziest corners of the city, especially when De Lima walked in with a reassuring smile and resplendent dignity. I remember that very well because I was wondering anong state of mind ni Senator Leila de Lima. This was just over a year into her detention, her ridiculous, politically charged, based on Trump-up charges detention. So I was wondering how she was doing. This is 2018-19. Duterte still at the height of his power. Medyo hopeless tignan yung opposition. Napakalakas ni Duterte. You don't know how long he's going to be in power. And imagine if you're Leila de Lima at this point in time, you're looking at really, really a foggy future, if not a very dark one. So I was very reassured when I saw her with that smile and resplendent dignity. Cognizant of both the content of her character and the dark uncertainty enveloping her life, a part of me fervently hoped to see a Mandela-like figure who could courageously defy both personal tragedy and political adversity. After all, we're talking about someone who became a senator just a few years earlier, and yet they had to do the worst kind of demolition job against her in order to create a pretext for her detention. Although we barely had a single proper conversation before that fateful meeting, aside from just, I think we had just a short back and forth banter when I visited the Philippine Senate in 2017 for some awarding ceremony, and she passed by and she told me something along the lines, "Oh, yeah, I watched your interview on CNN." I said, "Yes, of course, Senator. I also watched your interview with Christian Amanpour about her fight against Duterte." And 2 weeks later, she was taken down in the worst way possible, and she had the breakdown and all of that. It was really horrible. So these were the images at the back of my head, and yet I was very hopeful and very faithful that she will pull through because I had that understanding of the content of her character. Although we barely had a single proper conversation before that fateful meeting, I immediately skipped my small talk because I felt very comfortable. And I felt very assured and encouraged when I saw her with her resplendent sense of dignity and her smile, really smile, and this lightness of being that she was projecting. Sobrang malayo dun sa kilala ko na palaban na, 'di ba? Talagang warrior Bicolana, the Commission on Human Rights, and Senator Fiscalizer Leila de Lima. But it was impressive. So I immediately skipped any kind of small talk, I mean, kamusta kayo, yung ilang beses kayo kumain, hindi gano'n, hindi, wala na yung mga ganito. And I immediately engaged in a soulful conversation with a tinge of unfathomable familiarity. Sabi ko nga, nakuha ko yung sa lola ko, yung kapal moks, di ba? Kahit sino kausap ko, biglang, I just go straight to the point. After all, furnished, she had read also my works, especially in these August pages, meaning Philippine Daily Inquirer. Perhaps she was also familiar with coordinates of my thoughts and where I was coming from, unlike some of the other people who try to twist my words or make things out of nothing. She knew where I was coming from. On my part, I look forward to hearing from the firebrand senator, the former Human Rights Commissioner, who had perilously confronted the most terrifying man to have ever occupied the Malacanang Palace. I think in many ways, Duterte was more terrifying than Marcos Sr. because Marcos Sr., there was a method to the madness. As my good friend Edu Manzanas would say, Duterte, his method was madness. For me, she was, along with the likes of Senator Antonio Trillanes. And let's never forget also the risk that Senator Trillanes took. And according to, if I'm not mistaken, Kitadat or some of the other columnists, na-leak na actually Duterte was entertaining the thought of assassinating Trillanes. Ganun daw ka pikon si Duterte kay Trillanes. So that's the kind of risk that he has to take, not to mention the risk that he's continuing to take right now as he takes on the House of Duterte and all the other related elements. So both of them have served as a pillar of selfless resistance against the evils of demagoguery. Quickly, it became clear to me that De Lima had seamlessly elevated herself to a higher moral plane through spiritual introspection, including, as she told me, reading all the important books on Stoicism, not to mention, yes, absolutely, Nelson Mandela's Struggle and Transformation. As someone who was angry, rebellious, and filled with righteous rage, to someone who was fully at peace with himself and his place in history, and who would eventually play a role in healing the nation and pushing South Africa towards a post-apartheid period. So I wasted no time discussing the country's grim political landscape and unabashedly, thanks to Lola again, this is in my genes, shared ideas about how the opposition could collectively hold the line against the onslaught of murderous authoritarianism. Having stoically accepted her tortuous ordeal with leonine bravery, she brimmed with the audacity of hope. After jointly surveying granular developments in Philippine politics, pinag-usapan natin lahat ng mga details. She seemed very well informed. She seemed to be also familiar with my take on things. I was more than happy to also share my points of view, although I'm sure that the room was bugged and all of that. I suggested to her that it would be a great idea if she had joined, perhaps through a letter or a pre-recorded video, a press conference or any public event featuring all the incredibly valiant women who have stood up to Rodrigo Duterte's despotism. At the time, the idea seemed fanciful, if not outright delusional and self-defeating, given justified fears of a systematic crackdown on any voice of dissent. This is the time when there were even discussions about impeachment complaints and impeachment prospect for Leni Robredo, as they were trying to purge any element of independent thought, if not liberal and progressive opposition. But De Lima immediately warmed up to the idea, even as she admitted that she had to prepare for the possibility of spending the rest of her days in arbitrary detention, or worse. A conspiracy of events, including the COVID-19 pandemic a year later, militated against that united front idea, not to mention De Lima barely escaped death during a harrowing hostage-taking crisis in the final days of the Duterte presidency. So hindi nangyari yung what was hoping na siguro magkakaroon ng press conference, si Chief Justice Sereno, Maria Ressa, Leni Robredo, and then siguro may video dedication or letters, si Leila de Lima, all of these strong women, leonine, brave women, Spartan women, this champions of our democracy together, showing in a united front against Duterte. And Senator De Lima was immediately okay with that idea. But conspiracy of events militated against that possibility. Nevertheless, against all odds, the upcoming elections have provided a historic opportunity for that united front to finally crystallize. Not long after regaining her freedom, De Lima made the heroic decision to throw her hat back into the ring by contesting for a seat in the House of Representatives under revitalized opposition political party, Mamamayan Liberal. And she is far from alone. Her fellow Bicolana, former Vice President Leni Robredo, has singularly inspired million-strong pink rallies in major cities. Yes, we have to accept that. Leni Robredo's own charisma, her incredible charisma, and the lightness of being that she brings into the discourse and conversation really inspired those million-strong rallies, has made it clear that she will continue to serve her people by leading an inspired Team Naga in next year's elections. And as we discussed a while ago, Jose Manuel Chel Jokno, a champion of human rights and the rule of law, is vying for a congressional seat under the auspices of the Progressive Akbayan Party. They're joined by other champions of pluralistic politics and accountability, including Heidi Mendoza, former Senator Bam Aquino, Francis Kiko Pangilinan, progressives such as Franz Castro, Calyodi de Guzman or Leo de Gario de Guzman, and many more. Look, Espirito. I can go on and on about this. All of this really progressive, genuine opposition running in these elections. As if that weren't inspiring enough, tough, youthful, and single-minded statesmen such as Vico Soto, Trillanes are also contesting crucial mayoral positions, which could positively transform the lives of millions of Filipino families from Pasig to Caloocan and beyond. Just as Senator De Lima rightfully transcended her seemingly impossible circumstances a few years earlier just to be ultimately vindicated in style, we also should defy cynicism by looking beyond the cabal of clownish and crooked figures seeking elected office next year. Fortunately, there's no shortage of inspiring candidates. All they need are your electoral support, precious votes, and perhaps voluntarism. Thank you very much again, mga kameta. Thank you for all your prayers, for your love. I'm sure Lola is appreciating that as she looks down on us, while joining the Lord and joining Lolo and her loved ones who have already passed on. Thank you so much for your support, guys, and thank you for making us one of the leading podcasts in the country. And thank you for Spotify family and folks at the Spotify for recognizing what we have achieved, this singular, unprecedented achievement, making a political, analytic, critical thinking podcast among the top podcasts in the country, top sources of information in the country, against the grain of all of the clownery and crookedness and just vacuous entertainment obsession out there. So thank you so much for your continued support, including getting us that beautiful play button. Salamat and God bless. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Thank you very much again, guys. Also, salamat sa inyong suporta. I really, really appreciate it. It's a big deal. I'm very tired. I'm very exhausted. I'll try to get some rest and follow with some work and all and try to get things done before I go back to Baguio and all of that. But I'm telling you guys, this is how much you inspire us. And when I say us, it's me, my family, everyone who believes in what we're doing here. Madali mawala ng pag-asa sa ating bayan. Madali malungkot, and as you can see, I'm still processing grief and all of that. At the same time, I'm also inspired by the legacy of my lola and continuously inspired by your support and love. Maraming salamat. God bless. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, and talk to you soon. And don't forget to follow us on Deep Dive with Richard Hidari on Spotify. Libre lang yan at libre magbigay ng suporta, hopefully, if you think we deserve the 5-star. Thank you po. God bless.